Hello! It's that time on my channel where I do a draw of my life because I'm original. When writing this video I realised I had a very up and down sort of life, even though it doesn't really feel like it. On reflection, wow. I was born in Bristol in 1998 in a very big hospital, and I was a fat baby. I was 2 foot long and weighed 8 pounds 12 ounces. I've lived in the same town, just north of Bristol, my whole life, in the same house, with my mum, my dad and my sister. I had a good childhood. I played outside a lot, mostly with my sister and neighbours, but occasionally with my mum's friends' children. But my sister and I were always close. Growing up I never had a lot of money, so anything we did as a family was free, since my mum quit work after she had kids, and we took every free opportunity we could to spend time together. In my early years, I potty trained for a very long time with no results, until my mum took me to the doctors aged 3. I was diagnosed with a weak and overactive bladder that I took medication for every day and every night, and resulted in a lot of accidents throughout most of my school life. Doctors said I should be cured before year 7 in 2009, but I still take medication for it now, although it's got a lot better. In 2002, I started school at age 4. It was absolute hell. I used to cry before school every day and wished for home time. I had really good friends though, and I still talk to a lot of them today. On the first day of school, a girl randomly came up to me in the playground and said, "Hey, do you want to be best friends?" And I didn't know what to do, so I said yeah. And 14 years later, she's still my best friend, Gemma. And luckily enough, we lived on the same road. My mum had to get a job as a dinner lady at school to get me to stay in school without crying at lunchtime because I get homesick, but it gave us a little bit more money too. In the school autumn holidays of that year, me and my family went to Disneyland Paris. It was my first time abroad and it was so scary, but really fun. On the way back to England in the French airport, we had some bad luck. When on the escalator going down, my sister was scared and was left at the top crying, so my mum went back for her walking up the escalator that was travelling downwards. She fell onto one of the steps and got a massive hole in her knee from landing on it. The French paramedics were useless, and from the looks of it, they were just poking the wound and making it worse. Mum recovered, but now she has an odd-shaped knee and a nasty scar. In 2005, when I moved up to the next school year, my meltdowns got a lot worse. I had a meltdown almost every day before school. They were really scary for both me, my parents, and my best friend Gemma, who used to have to witness them happening. But it just got worse and worse as the school years went on. We went to France again for exactly the same amount of time, and to the same places, but it was still a good holiday. Apart from the fact that we lost the camera in a shop with all of our photos near the end of the trip, which we later found was probably stolen because it wasn't in the lost and found for the whole day, and it wasn't in the shop when we retraced our steps. When we got back to the French airport, the same one where my mum got injured last time, we found out we were late for our flight and didn't check in quick enough, even though we weren't told that we had to do that a certain amount of hours before the flight. So we were put onto the next plane that had spare seats. It then turned out that every plane after that one was severely delayed, so I had to sleep in the airport and arrived home really early in the morning. Fun times. In 2007, the family saved up a lot of money for a few years to go on a massive 3-week holiday to Orlando. We stayed in a very dodgy hotel, which I seem to remember had no windows and no vending machines that worked, and there was rubbish littering the hallways, but it was what we had to do to be able to afford tickets to Disney parks and Universal. It was so tiring, and I even remember sitting on the toilet in the last weeks of the holiday crying because I wanted to go home. Why? I was in the happiest place in the world. Well, not the hotel. But for my first time in America, it was amazing, especially for someone who usually goes on holiday in the UK for a week and doesn't get out of the house a lot apart from to go to school. Here's where it gets sad. In 2008, my family life took an unexpected turn. My dad called for a family meeting, which never happened, and straight away I knew something was wrong, but I wasn't prepared for what he was going to say. My cousin Jordan had been diagnosed with cancer at age 13 in his spine. He was the first person in my life I knew to be really ill, and my 10-year-old brain didn't know what to do or say or think. But I finished primary in 2009, age 10, and moved up to secondary school. Oh wow, I was not ready. I had a lot on my mind with my cousin's illness, and now I had to go to a massive school. I hated my smaller school with 100 pupils. But now I was in a school where one year group was 100 people. My sister started becoming obsessed with watching people on the internet, talking about their lives and their interests on a little weird website called YouTube. I didn't understand how someone could watch videos of people talking about random stuff for 6 minutes, all day, every day. She was watching these people known as Dan Is Not On Fire, Amazing Phil, Charlie Is So Cool, like Vlogbrothers, Jack's Films and Tomska, along with many more. I soon started watching these videos over her shoulder to see what all the fuss was about, out of pure curiosity. I pretended I was above it all and hated watching them, but I soon started watching weekly. I didn't have my own YouTube account when I got my first laptop, so I used my sister's account and I soon became obsessed. Back to my school years. My meltdowns got worse and my attendance went down to around 60%. I don't know why I feared school so much. I'd been bullied my whole school life so far, but something else was wrong. I still don't know why, to this day. For the rest of my first school year, I was put onto a scheme where I was taught survival skills like tying ropes, making fires and shelters out of branches and leaves. The teachers did it to try and get me to make more friends and want to come to school, but they told me it was to have fun and learn something new. It didn't work. My attendance was still more than poor, and on the last day of the scheme I had one of my worst meltdowns yet. I was supposed to go on a trip to the woods to put all my knowledge to the test. I missed the whole day of school including PE, so you would have thought I'd been glad to go, but no. I walked to school and suddenly burst into tears before getting into the grounds. My sister had to get to class because she was already late, so I hid behind an electric box type thing on the phone to my mum, but they found me and I went. I was not happy at all, but when I got there I had some bacon, so it was all good. I made some new friends, but I also made new bullies. Great. In 2010, my cousin's cancer was getting better, and the 2 years of treatment was making it smaller. He was ready to have an operation to remove the whole tumour. Finally, some good news. In the summer holidays of 2010, my dad called for another family meeting. I was praying for him to say Jordan was cured. He sat down, said how Jordan had taken a turn for the worse, and how the doctors said his cancer had gotten into his bloodstream and had spread. Jordan's cancer was terminal. On the 14th of July 2010, Jordan passed away from his cancer aged 15 in his family home surrounded by his close family. According to my auntie, he died with a smile on his face, as if he was finally free from his pain. But ever since that day, my family have been fundraising for Teenage Cancer Trust, who helped the family and Jordan from diagnosis to the after-death care. We owed everything to them. Those 2 years changed my life in good ways and bad ways. I realised I shouldn't take my life or anyone else's for granted. I remembered the good times eventually, but for a long time I didn't know what to do. I was 12 and I was old enough to know Jordan was gone, but wasn't really old enough to know how to deal with it. But with time, I've learnt to accept it, but never forget him. I started daydreaming about being the next Dan Is Not On Fire or PewDiePie in school and at home. But if I started making videos, the whole school would find out, including all of my bullies, which was over half of my year, and a lot of the year above and below, and even some people in other years, since my sister and I were famous for being bullied in the school, as the Skidmore sisters. And I would be the talk of the town in a really bad way. I already hated school for a lot of reasons, so I didn't need to add this to them. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. Towards the end of school, I decided to start writing my ideas down for videos, themes, channel names, intros, outros, all that sort of stuff, with a lot of rejects. I filled a whole notepad with things, even a fleshed out over 200 episode series I'm still to make on the channel. Exam season. All of my school life had been leading up to the last 2 years of school. You would have expected me to have meltdowns like the rest of my school life, but I didn't miss a single exam. My attendance was still really shit, but I made it to all the exams, and I passed them all with flying colours, and got accepted into my first choice of college at the highest course level in creative media production. Since taking double media studies for my GCSE exams, I knew I wanted to have a career in media, and I absolutely loved making things. I was never as academic as my sister was throughout the whole of my school life, but I found a talent for filmmaking, or at least I actually enjoyed it. Seeing my name in credits just felt right. We loved our last family holiday to Florida so much that between me going to college and my sister starting university, we went again. But this time we stayed in the Art of Animation Hotel in the Little Mermaid themed room for another 3 weeks with tickets to all the parks and Universal. The 31st of August 2014 didn't exist for me because I slept the whole day. I was so nervous on my first day of college that I completely forgot about jet lag. College was terrifying. I got through the boring tours and the admin stuff in the morning. The tour ended with, "You may now go for lunch. Be back at 1 PM. Get talking." A group of about 5 of us awkwardly stood in the middle of reception pretending to text. One of us suddenly said, "Everyone get in a circle and introduce ourselves to everyone." So we awkwardly did. There was Keegan, Milo, Katie, Daniela and me. Me, Daniela, Milo and Keegan went for a frozen yogurt, a 10-minute walk away right in the middle of the centre of town. Milo and Keegan sat on the other side of the place, while Daniela and I sat by the iPad on the wall that controlled the music for the whole place. So we awkwardly discussed music tastes. A shy girl who didn't often leave her town was plunged into the centre of the city of Bristol, one of the largest cities outside of London and one of the most famously creative places in Britain. I was more than out of my depth. Tutors were lovely, the projects looked exciting, the equipment was big and interesting looking, but I was one of the only people who had never touched a DSLR camera since my school couldn't afford one, and nor could I. Ask me anything about theories and terms and I knew it, but give me a camera, I was clueless. For the first time in my life I had no bullies. I felt safe and comfortable. I had a fresh start, so instead of being the shy girl who never talked, I was Erin. OnlyErin, you may say. Hey. Woo. I made amazing friends in the first year and my grades were great. I was getting distinctions on every essay, and I was learning fast. I soon realised I wanted to make things forever. Towards the end of the first year, I thought, f*** it. I spent most of my life savings on a DSLR camera, SD cards, a tripod, a MacBook Pro, a light, a microphone and shitty software, primarily to help with college projects. I also told my college friends my plans to make videos in the summer for YouTube, and Daniela told me she had an old channel she used to make videos for, but told me to not look at it because it was so cringy. But she was going to start making videos again in the summer for it too, and we should film some videos together in the summer break. And that we did. In the summer I went round Daniela's house for the first time to film some videos. Fun fact, I filmed these videos before I made my intro video, so technically this is my first time making videos. You can probably tell. They took forever to edit since I had to transfer data because I filmed using Daniela's SD card stupidly, but it was so much fun. I decided to make a proper effort on YouTube and interact with viewers even though I had 6 subs and I knew them all in real life. So I made a Twitter account and a Facebook page. When I got my first ever stranger subscribed to me, I was over the moon. I got such a buzz. Year 2 of college started, and a lot of people had left from year 1 for university or other things. The 2 group split from the first year had been scrapped due to smaller numbers, so there were some new faces as well as some old ones, but this time I had more opportunities to talk to them. We were the dream team. Me, Daniela, Charlie, Sam, Theo, Abby, Karis, Mersey, Georgia and Jade. There were others too, but it was mainly us. So much banter went down in that year, and I belonged more than I ever had. This was the high point of my life. Making videos, college projects, and having fun in the perfect balance. I recently passed my extended diploma in level 3 creative media production with flying colours, and now I have no idea where my life is heading, but I think I'll be okay. I've survived this long anyway, so how hard can it be? I've been a quitter my whole life. I tried dancing, I quit. Reading, I quit. DJing, I quit. Drawing, I quit. Choir, I quit. Writing, I quit. And I'd usually quit because it's not for me, or I get bored, or I just end up getting an overwhelming feeling of, I can't do it. But YouTube was different. It was the first hobby I'd ever had where I don't want to ever stop. I can be myself and people will watch. Not a lot of people, but people. I knew this could happen on YouTube, but not to me. And yes, you may be thinking, Erin, you've only got 407 subscribers, but they're my 407. I don't want to grow up. But making videos lets me escape all of that and focus on making things for others, but more importantly, for myself. It stops me from stress eating, feeling useless, and thinking about what I don't want to do. I love filming things and talking, but only when people aren't in front of me. Everything I have to say, I say it not to a camera, but to you. And for listening, I am eternally grateful. YouTube is more than just a hobby to me, and I want to do this for as long as possible. I think about making videos 24/7. Thank you for being here.